the Sports Renegades podcast on SportstownChicago.com.
Welcome into this week's edition of the Sports Renegades here on SportstownChicago.com. And once again, both of the Ryans are hosting the show as usual.
Yes, sir.
And, pretty busy trade deadline today for the NBA. I was actually shocked. I kept seeing all these trades going on, and I'm just like, what? And I got some of these trades I couldn't believe, like the Suns trading both Joran Dragic and Isaiah Thomas.
Well, and apparently Joran Dragic wanted to leave Phoenix. He made a statement, I think, a couple days ago saying that he didn't want to play for them after the season, so they decided to trade him, and they did. So, yeah, he's going to the Miami Heat.
The interesting thing about that is about 30 minutes before the deadline, the Suns owner said that he wasn't being traded.
Right, and then now if you look at the Heat projected starting lineup, which I have here, it's going to be Dragic, Dwayne Wade, Luol Deng, Chris Bosh, and Hassan Whiteside. So that's a better lineup than before, and that's certainly a playoff team, I think.
It's a major upgrade at the point guard position as they also shipped Norris Cole out of town.
Because now Chalmers can come off the bench where he belongs.
Could you imagine if LeBron had stayed?
Yeah, that would be another. It would certainly be close to another finals team. I mean, the Cavaliers might still have Kevin Love, but that would certainly be top 3 seed in the East for sure.
I mean, getting an actual point guard rather than just some guy that shoots, and the Thunder trading Reggie Jackson.
Yes. And also Kevin Garnett going back to Minnesota, and Thaddeus Young is going from Minnesota to the Brooklyn Nets, which I thought was very interesting because, I mean, that's certainly an upgrade for the Nets. They're fighting for 7th, 8th seed in the playoffs, which they might get, they might not. But it's kind of interesting. I think Kevin Garnett is going to finish his career with the Timberwolves. I wouldn't see him playing past this year, but I guess it's possible.
I'm just wondering, what exactly did Minnesota gain by this trade? I mean, they traded a younger guy that was playing pretty well for just an old, washed-up guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, there might have been some draft picks involved. I'm not sure.
I don't think there was. I think it was just a straight-up swap.
Yeah, it could have just been a whole thing. And then also the Milwaukee Bucks got Michael Carter-Williams, which I thought was a good move.
Yeah, there was a couple 3-team trades.
Mm-hmm. And then I think Brandon Knight from Milwaukee, he's on Phoenix now. He's the replacement for Dragic, which Dragic is certainly a better point guard, but Knight is no slouch. He's a pretty good point guard as well. So
yeah, Dragic doesn't get as many assists, and Miami also got Dragic's brother.
Yeah, they did. I don't know if that was the same trade. I mean, the Heat have been very active. So have the Suns, obviously. And Milwaukee was active, of course.
The Timberwolves are trying to extend Kevin Garnett for 2 more seasons.
I don't think he's going to want to play 2 more seasons. No way, right?
If he gets the money. I mean, he's making $12 million as a 38-year-old, averaging 6 points and 6 rebounds, and they said they want him to be part of the ownership or the front office when he retires.
Well, and here's the thing about Minnesota. They're not... I mean, they're bad this year, but, you still have Andrew Wiggins, you still have Anthony Bennett. Now, those players, might not live up to their potential, especially Anthony Bennett. But, you do have some
right.
sort of interesting things there. You still have Nikola Pekovic, who's a pretty good player. And then, of course, Ricky Rubio, when he's healthy, he's a pretty good point guard. So
right, and I mean, Wiggins looks like a future superstar.
Oh, yeah,
mean, my
sure.
goodness, he's having a absolutely phenomenal rookie. He's playing like a lot. He's playing at like a really high level.
Minnesota's the worst team in the NBA, as they've been for like the last 2 months, and he just continues to do really well. Also, the Trailblazers acquired Aaron Aflalo from Denver, so there's that. A little bit of guard action to help the Trailblazers, which can help a little bit.
Yeah, listen, Thaddeus Young is 26 years old, averaging 14 points and 5 rebounds per game, and he was only under contract. And next season he has a team option for $9 million. That makes no sense. Why would you trade a 26-year-old?
They're all trying to win now. I mean, it's sort of interesting where a couple years ago, all these teams that were sort of in the thick of it, they would be like, okay, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs this year. We're going to tank. Because if you remember, the 76ers were tanking or, allegedly tanking. All these other teams were allegedly tanking. and they're still not good. But now you got a lot of teams who are like on the cusp of making the playoffs, and they're making moves to try to get them there. And Tayshaun Prince is also he's the last active guy from that 04 champion Detroit Pistons team. He is going back to the Pistons now, which I think he was on the Celtics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was. The Memphis sent him to the Celtics in the Jeff Green trade. And
right.
The Kings traded Ramon Sessions to the Wizards for Andre Miller, and that kind of puzzles me because, Andre Miller was a really good backup player.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a good. Yes, certainly he's not necessarily a starter, but he is a good. He is a good, sixth man. Sort of a guard to back up with.
He's more of a shooting guard, small forward. Yeah. Sessions is a point guard. Maybe they wanted some depth behind John Wall to potentially give him more rest as the season winds down. And interesting that Miller is going to the Kings, where he's reuniting with George Karl.
Yeah, I love the move of them hiring George Karl, the Sacramento Kings. I think they're going to be a pretty good team in the next few years because George Karl, pretty much everywhere he's gone, he's built a team up from the ground up. He did that with Seattle. He did that with Milwaukee, certainly, which was a nothing until he came around in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then he took a Nuggets team that was nothing, and he brought them all the way to the Western Conference Finals a couple times with Melo and everything. So I think he's got a really good chance to have a good player, and then he's got some good people on that team already.
DeMarcus Cousins, don't forget he got fired from Denver after winning the Coach of the Year.
That's true. He won Coach of the Year in, 2012, 2013, something like that?
Then he got fired, and no one hired him. He's a great coach. He was
a good analyst on ESPN, too, I have to say.
Yeah, his playoff success, however, isn't the best. Regular season, though, he's done a great job.
The regular season, he's done a good job. I think he made it to the Western Conference Finals. I know he made it once with Melo. I think they lost. I don't remember who they lost to. Maybe the Lakers. But but he's been pretty good. He lost to Michael Jordan in the '96 Finals. Are we surprised that the Bulls did not make any sort of move, really?
If they made a move, it probably would have been a completely wasteless time, or that would have been a complete waste of their time, because whenever they get a player mid-season, he doesn't play because Thibodeau doesn't trust him yet, because it takes like a...
Or all season, or
all season.
Poor Doug McDermott. He's not going to be playing. I hope that they learn to play him.
It's like Thibodeau thinks it takes a full year to... get used to his system. It just gets annoying. Because of that, they can't just acquire some guy and throw him into the rotation because Tibbs doesn't want to ruin or mess up his rotation, and he doesn't trust anyone yet.
I heard there was talk. I don't think it happened, obviously, which I don't think it did, obviously. But the Bulls were interested in Kendrick Perkins, or the Thunder were interested in. It was either Picks or Taj Gibson. I don't remember what it was.
That sounds like a horrible trade.
Yes. Oh, yes. It is a horrible trade, and I don't think the Bulls did it. But there was news, as I was driving down here, there was news that Kendrick Perkins, that it was possible that Kendrick Perkins would go to the Bulls, and I was like, no, and the radio hosts were saying no. So I don't think it happened, because I'm looking at the Bulls news feed, and it did not happen.
Perkins got traded somewhere else in the Reggie Jackson trade.
Yeah, and he's not very good either.
Yeah, no, he's making a lot of money. He's not good. I don't think Thibodeau would like him.
I would much rather have Pau Gasol, Taj Gibson, Joakim Noah, and Mirotic as my big guys, instead of, losing either Mirotic or Gibson and adding Kendrick Perkins. That's definitely not an upgrade.
That's a major downgrade, and
it might be an upgrade money-wise, but it's not. But of course, he's probably a lot of money, Kendrick Perkins. A lot of money and not a whole lot of talent.
Right, yeah, it doesn't really do very much, and that kind of was limiting the Thunder's ability to spend in the offseason because of his deal. It's got to be making in between $5 and $10 million. And, I couldn't believe the Thunder went and traded Reggie Jackson, because he's an important part of that team if they want to win. And now who's the backup to Westbrook if he gets injured?
Well, that's true. But
Ish Smith.
Who did Oklahoma City? Oklahoma City got Enes Kanter from
Utah.
Which I was happy about because I have Enes Kanter on my fantasy team, but he's also been a good player this year. I don't know if the change of scenery, hopefully he'll continue to be good because, I mean, the Thunder, they could be a 7th or 8th seed. I don't know if they're sitting at an 8th seed right now.
They're like
playoffs.
number 10.
Yeah, but everyone in the bottom part of that is like separated by only a couple games. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the second half, and we'll see if teams like the Trailblazers and Golden State can stay atop the West.
Right, and I saw that the Carmelo Anthony had season-ending knee surgery.
Yep, after he did awful in that All-Star game. I don't know if you watched the All-Star game at all.
No.
But he, which you didn't miss much in the actual All-Star game. But he, everyone kept trying to feed him the ball because, you're in New York, Melo, and, you got to put on a show for the crowd. I saw him miss like 4 shots in a row. All he did was shoot threes. He got like one at the end to try to bring the Eastern Conference back, but it was so disappointing.
Yeah, I was on my way home from St. Louis.
Right.
And we were listening to, after we had got off the team bus at NIU and we're driving back to Fox Valley Ice Arena to pick up the rest of our cars, we were listening on the way home, and I didn't know who the coach was for the East. I just assumed it was the Atlanta coach because he threw out a lineup.
I forget his name.
Yeah, all 4 of his Atlanta guys, and then LeBron James for like quite a while, and then he subs LeBron out, throws in Jimmy Butler, keeps in all 4 of the Atlanta players.
Of course.
I was just like, there's no way that this is not the Atlanta Hawks coach.
Right, yeah, it was him against Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr has done a fantastic job this season.
I think he learned a lot from Phil Jackson when he played under Phil Jackson. He sort of got that zen, calm demeanor, and he's only has 8 or 9 losses. The Golden State Warriors.
And the funny thing is, that was the guy who Phil Jackson wanted to coach the Knicks, and then he took a look at the Knicks and was like, "Yeah, no." And then
which was a really good move by Steve Kerr. I mean, imagine now with Steve, and now their coach is Derek Fisher, which clearly that Zen magic didn't rub off on him too well. Although he has a horrible team, I can't really blame him for the Knicks mishaps.
Yeah, no, and I saw the Knicks are 0-13. When Carmelo Anthony does not play.
Yeah, that's expected, but they are just so bad. I think they're the worst. It's either them or Minnesota that are the worst teams in the NBA right now, at least record-wise and talent-wise too. I guess especially the Knicks are definitely the worst talent-wise because besides Melo, there's not much to show for it. I mean, Iman Shumpert.
Well, they traded him to Cleveland.
That's right. He's on Cleveland. J.R. Smith's on Cleveland.
They got Jose Calderon, though. He's a fantastic shooter. I feel bad
He's
for
a good
him
shooter.
because he is a really good point guard.
Yeah, he was doing a really good job. Was he on Dallas when they won the finals?
With Dallas, no, he was not on Dallas when they won the finals.
Okay.
He led the league in 3-point shooting with Toronto one year.
Yeah.
Signed a nice deal with Dallas, and then they trade him in the Tyson Chandler trade. And I feel bad for him because he deserved to be traded at the deadline because he's just such a good shooter. And he'd probably be better on a team that had more guys that could shoot the ball, too, where he could pass the ball as well.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to take a quick time out. We'll continue the NBA talk. And eventually coming up on the show, we'll be previewing spring training for the Cubs and the Sox. The Cubs released their...
The Cubs reported today, right?
They did.
And the Sox report tomorrow, I think.
Yes, and the Cubs released their jersey numbers for all their players. So did Chris Bryant get a low jersey, or did he get a high-numbered jersey, and what does it mean? This is all coming up later on the Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.